you're gonna have days where you don't want to do anything, but you have to. Like, you have no choice, You just have to do it, and then you'll get used to it, and you'll succeed from doing something than nothing.
So hi everyone, and welcome back to the Student Influencers podcast. My name is Leslie, and today I'm joined by Nathalee, and we're really excited to have you here, Nathalee, and to get started.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we like to start off with some initial kind of get to know you questions. So we can start off with, where do you currently live?
So I live in Toronto, but I actually live in like a town close to Toronto. It's called Ajax, but every time someone asks me that, I always just say Toronto, Ontario.
Our company's in Toronto, so I know exactly where Ajax is. So that's perfect.
Perfect.
But I mean, our audience probably won't. But where were you born?
So I was born in the Philippines.
Okay.
So I wasn't born here in Canada. I moved to Canada when I was 4 years old.
Okay, so you're pretty much raised in. Did you move right to Toronto?
Not
Ajax.
No, not in Ajax. We started in Markham.
Okay.
And then we moved here to Ajax. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What university did you go to?
I went to University of Toronto.
And what did you major in there?
And I did biology. So in the University of Toronto, there's like 3 different types of programs. One is like a specialist, and then one is a double major, and then another one is a major and 2 minors. So I decided to do the specialist and specializing in biology.
Okay, cool. What are you doing right now? I know that this question's kind of interesting to ask right now because we are all still under the COVID-19 pandemic, but what kind of are you working on right now? Because you just recently graduated, right?
Yeah, so I just graduated, but right now I'm just like working on like my social media stuff. So every day I try to engage on like my Instagram and really try to bring that growth, and also to continue growing my YouTube channel, and basically just everything that I've been doing on social media, like my blog. I've been writing posts and creating content every single day. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've just been doing.
It's keeping you pretty busy.
Stuff. Yeah.
Sounds like it. It's a lot of work to keep up with a social media presence like that. What made you want to study biology? Like what kind of got you into that? Were you always interested in biology, or was it something that you kind of developed an interest for?
So in high school, I was always very good at science. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to choose science in university. I wasn't really that like certain, but I knew I was good in biology or just in science in general. But then at the same time, I was also that person who was very well-rounded. So I loved music, I loved art, I loved singing and playing the piano. But because I thought that maybe science would be like the best route for me, because I think that's just how, like, you don't really know when you're in high school. You think, okay, like, instead of doing like something in like arts, like the money is where like science is. So that's what I thought. So that's why I decided to pursue biology. And I was interested in biology. I really liked biology when I was younger. I loved science. I was that kid in elementary school that hated going to the library and borrowing like novels. I hated like reading novels. It was just so boring to me, but I would rather go to the science section and read like astronomy books. I loved reading books about like raccoons and like snakes, and then I would bring it to the librarian, and then the kids behind me or in front of me, they'd be like, what is she reading? It's so weird. But I was like, I don't care. This is more interesting than, to me, it was more interesting to read that. So yeah, I was really into biology. Or just science in general when I was younger. So yeah.
Okay, well that's definitely it's funny because like obviously you favored the nonfiction because obviously, like, in my opinion, that kind of shows that you were interested in kind of learning the world around you.
Yeah, I found it so interesting, so
Yeah.
cool.
And that's definitely I think it's one of those like left brain and right brain things too, because normally like if you favor fiction, it's kind of more of like an event, like a fantasy-ish kind of side, if that makes sense, instead of like,
Hmm.
so biology kind of really helps learn more and explain things in like nature
Exactly.
and stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm a very well-rounded person. As much as I love like understanding the world and like being logical, I'm also very creative. I love the music. I love singing and being I wanted to be a ballerina when I was like 4 years old. Yeah. So I don't know, there was just so many things that I loved and enjoyed, but I think what made me want to pursue biology in university was the idea that oh, money would be towards science. So
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't really know, so I just took that route.
I guess that maybe you're like the best of both worlds then. Best of
I
the
guess so.
creative and the study.
Yeah.
um, so where do you see yourself going now? So now that you have this degree in biology, is that something that you want to make a career out of?
So, okay, so in when I was in university, I thought that I would do something in the science field. Like I was going in and doing a lot of volunteer work. I did a lot of research work and working in labs and clinics. And I really thought that I was going to do something in science. But then I think during my time in university, I also found my passion in like blogging and creating videos and like making people smile and connecting with people. And I think that's what gave me like a purpose. So I think that is where I want to um, pretty much direct my career towards. But because biology, it was a career, but now it's a hobby. And then it also switched my like creative side from a hobby to a career. So it basically made that switch. And then I do want to use some of my bio and my interest in bio into my career. Perhaps in the future, if one of the things that I want to do is to start a business, and if I could use bio in my business in any way and any sort of form, such as like doing research behind the products, like that would be something that would be really interesting and something that I would love to do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that seems like a good like if you could use the biology to make like I don't know, like a line of makeup or cosmetics or something like that, even that would be perfect.
Yes. Yeah, I would love to do that. That's like a dream.
Yeah, that would, I mean, you have, obviously you have the skills from both worlds to do that, so I don't see why
Thank
not.
you. That's so sweet. Thank you.
No problem. Um, so speaking of the kind of online brand and presence and blog that you've kind of created for yourself, have you been working on that? Like I would say that's probably like was your side hustle. Now it's like becoming your main focus. Is that something you've been doing for a while?
Yeah, so I started it like 3 years ago. So basically what happened was, so my boyfriend was also studying at University of Toronto, and he was programming. He loved programming. And then so he was doing that, and then during my breaks when I would just like try to de-stress, I
Hmm.
would watch these YouTubers and I'd be like, "Oh my god, they're so cool. That seems so fun. I want to try that." And then I've seen this one girl named Christelle Lim, and she was a blogger, so I checked out her website, and then I fell in love with like the blogging space and how creative it was. And I was like, "Hey, like I'm so drenched in bio. I need something to really like express my creative side." So I was like, okay, let me just do this. So then um, I told my boyfriend and I was like, hey, like I want to try to create a website. And he was like, oh, that's cool because I'm trying to learn how to make websites. Let's create a blog. So yeah, basically we started the creating the website together, and basically he created it from a blank space, so he would just code everything, and I gave him the format using keyword. So
Hmm.
it's basically like presentation, like
Yeah.
PowerPoint, and I would use like the shapes that's given, and then I would just create like the layout. So I would give that whole picture of what I want, and then he would be like, okay, like I'll just code it with everything. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's like a
Yeah,
perfect
that's so
match
exciting.
because it worked out really well
Yeah.
for both of you because he got the practice and you got the website. Because normally,
Yeah.
like a custom website from scratch, normally like is people pay a lot of money for that. So
Yeah.
you guys. It was really good that you found each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really fun. But then over time I was like, okay, here's like I need to get this done. Like I wanna get this. I want it like I'm very particular, like don't forget the dots, like it has to be perfect. And he was like, oh I'm sorry, like I still have school to do. I don't know if I could continue like, keeping up the pace with you. So then I was like, okay, that's fine. Like I completely understand. I think I need to start doing this on my own now. So I basically started the whole website by myself in a different platform. So
Really,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's a
Yeah.
big project.
Yeah, it was big, but it was so fun. It didn't feel like a project at all. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's something that's like something that you're really into and it's like a big hobby. Usually, it's all that work is really doesn't really feel like work anymore because it's just
Mm-hmm.
something that it's fun. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but it's really that is still really fortunate.
Yeah.
And a lot of doing that, like having this big online presence and dedicating yourself to putting yourself out there and posting every day, a lot of that really relies on you kind of having that confidence and the encouragement to the self encouragement to really put yourself out there and kind of speak to people. So do you have any kind of like tips on anyone who might want to start doing something like that for themselves? Maybe needs a little push to put themselves out there like that?
Yeah, so I think one of my biggest advice is if you want to do it, if you're interested, just do it. Like, who cares? Like, if people are going to judge, it's because they probably want to do the same thing that you're doing, but they just don't have enough courage to do it. So maybe just take the bigger step and just do it. I really believe in um, just taking the risk and just putting yourself out there and just being yourself. I think that would be one of my biggest advice. And another one would be to really make a lot of connections. I think once you start in the game, you're like, okay, like I don't really know anyone. How can I start working with brands? And that's probably what a lot of people start do. That's probably one of the reasons why people start doing this is because, oh, I want to make money. I want to start working with brands. That's so fun and cool. But it's like, okay, you'll get there, but you have to build your audience first, build your connection, and also learn how to be yourself. So, and one of the ways that you could do that is to surround yourself with people who are also doing the same things as you. So connect with other bloggers or other social media influencers that are doing the same niche as you and are around like the um, uh, same like as around the same like number in terms of like the
Mm-hmm.
followers. So if you're a small influencer, connect with smaller influencers, and yeah, just do your best to connect with a lot of people, and that way you won't feel as lonely, and it can also help you grow your exposure as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true because you could kind of partner up and help each other get more reach.
Exactly. And then from there, like people will start noticing you, you'll get more comfortable, and then perhaps opportunities will start opening. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Do you think a lot of that's those ways to form connections and things like that can really apply to just university students in general and the importance of kind of when you go off to university and college and making those networks and connections just in like your friends circles and stuff like that too?
Yeah, for sure. So um, when I was in university, I took this one entrepreneurship class because it was like an elective, and I was like, oh, like doing like being your own boss. This is when I started like learning about entrepreneurship, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I would want to like work for myself, and there's probably a lot of people who are like minded. So I took an entrepreneurship course, and because that's your interest, right? The people around you are going to be just as interested. So once you're in class, turn to the side, look around, and start talking to people. And then it'll give you a lot more connection. And yeah, you'll feel more like yourself, I feel. Yeah, you'll just feel more connected. And it's very good to grow your network that way, just to talk to your friends and just make friends in class.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that is so different about university coming from high school is that when you're in a class, the classes people are classes that people have chosen to take and they've paid to go there and take those classes. So they are actually people who are genuinely interested in that class. So turning around and talking to these people isn't as intimidating as it is well, it might still be intimidating, but it's not as it's completely different than in high school, because in high school you might be afraid to talk to a classmate because you're like, oh, they might not like me, or they might think I'm weird for talking to them. But in university, you meet more people who are kind of more, they share more in common with you.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest advantage too, especially when you're trying to make these connections and meet people who could help you, because it never hurts to have more connections and more friends within the field that you want to be in.
Exactly. And it also helps to motivate you.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel so alone. And then you guys can talk about something that you both love. And then maybe you guys can give each other advice and tricks on like how to do a couple of things. And then, yeah, I think it's so important to make connections in university.
Yeah.
One of the things that you should do, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I firmly believe in that.
Definitely. I completely agree.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How did you kind of manage all of these responsibilities when you were in university? Because I've been running a blog and a platform. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication, but so does a degree in the sciences as well. So how did you kind of balance all of that together?
That's really hard for me to actually answer, to be so honest, because I mean, I just did it. Like, like, there's no like secret. I think it's all about you just using your calendar, writing down your dates, and just doing it. I think there's no secret to it. And I feel like, yes, it is a lot going on, because like I did part-time as well. I worked on the weekends. So, I mean, I didn't work throughout the week. I worked on the weekends. So that was also very time consuming. And then I also did volunteer and like research during the week as well, because I was thinking, oh, like I might need this experience. Maybe I'll do my master's, like just to have that in the back of my like resume. It was a lot to do, but you have to remember that humans are so good at adapting. We're very good at adapting to challenges. So you just gotta do what you gotta do, and you just gotta like not complain about it, and just be diligent about it, and you just gotta do it. There's no really secret. Yeah.
Just do the work.
Yeah, that's it. Like people are always asking like, how do you get so much done? Like, how do you balance this? And I'm like, I just wake up, I have a list of things to do, and I just do it. That's it.
I mean, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot to remember there. It's just get things done.
Yeah, it's simple, but it's a lot of work, but that's the reality of it, I think.
Yeah, and you've obviously managed to, it's obviously working for you because you've managed to get everything done. So
yeah, do my best too. And sometimes like when I was doing my blog as well, like sometimes I would have to put more time into studying, which like I felt like I was studying 24/7. Like I was always just in my books, always in the library. Like when I think of university, I think of Robarts Library. Like that's my memory of university. But yeah, sorry, I forgot what I was about to say. But yeah, I think, wait, what was I gonna say? I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
We're saying, what were we saying? Right now I forget. We were talking about when you were talking about balancing all of these things and all of the studying. So there were times when you had to stop and take a little time, put more time into
Oh,
studying?
yeah. So like, don't be so hard on yourself, right? So like, if I was like, because I was balancing my blog at the same time, and I was like, oh, like I can't post this week, so I might have to focus on studying, but it's okay because like school first, like not to be so hard on yourself and look at what you prioritize. So like look at the things that you need to prioritize first and get those done, and then do the rest later. But yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah, that makes sense.
advice. Mm-hmm,
Were
mm-hmm.
there ever any times where you did get kind of overwhelmed and stressed with everything?
Yeah, I was very stressed in university. I feel like a lot of university students were very stressed,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much that's going on, and you're basically an adult now. But a way that I managed stress was to really just talk to my friends. If I was really stressed out, I would just be like, hey, like, can we talk? This is what's going on. Like, how are you? And they're probably going to be like, oh my God, don't worry. Like, we're on the same boat. Like, I feel the exact same way. I'm so tired. And basically just feel that it's like support, So you
Mm-hmm.
speak to your friends to get that support. So that's one thing that I really did. I just spoke to my friends, and I would also speak to my parents, and they would also give me the support and be like that rock. And then another thing that I did was I like tried to work out as much as I can, because it was something that I really enjoyed doing, especially with friends. And it's something that I don't have to think about like school or like my job or like, oh, like my research or even like my blog or everything. I don't have to think about that. I just
Mm-hmm.
think about like going into the gym, working out, and it was basically just a time for me to relax and take a break. Yeah. So do something that you really enjoy and use that as your time to relax. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would definitely be, so basically some of your kind of go-to tips for de-stressing would be like keep your social circle, um, like keep rely on your social network to kind of give you that support and maybe family as well. And then exercising to help clear your mind is probably the two biggest
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Exercise is really good for that because also it releases all of this. It can actually, exercise can actually help you study better because it
Oh yeah.
releases all those endorphins and it gets all your blood. I mean, I'm sure you know this because you're a biology graduate, but
Yeah, it helps you to focus um better. And also too, like when you feel like when you finish your workout, you will feel so accomplished. So then you'll be like, okay, I got one task done. Let me work on the other. And then you'll just be on this streak throughout the day. You'll be like, okay, like I at least got one thing done, so I can keep doing the rest. And then, yeah, you'll have a good and productive day.
yeah, that's awesome. What's one of your favorite memories so far from being in school?
So one of my favorite memories is my entrepreneurship class because, okay, I really loved my professor. He was so like, he was just so straight with you. He was so direct, but at the same time, he was very real when it came to his stories. I loved hearing his stories, and it was very inspiring and motivating. And of course, like everyone in class, they're going through such a hard time. And that class also was actually from the engineering department. So a lot of engineers were there. So everyone was going through a tough time. So just hearing his stories of what he went through and his hardships, it really gave a lot of us and me a lot of hope. And yeah, I think that was my favorite part of my university experience.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I had an experience like that too. I took journalism in university and we had
Mm-hmm.
a professor that was like that too. Like he made this huge impact on everyone because he wasn't like a PhD professor. He was an actual journalist that used to work at like a major paper and it was kind of the same thing. Like he would talk about his own experiences and his own like, things he's learned along the way and tell like real stories that he's done and it had such a huge impact on the entire class that it ended up, and then this class got this reputation, so it ended up being where people who weren't even in journalism were taking this class just because they wanted to hear this professor talk and like listen to his stories. So the class
Yeah.
ended up being packed. It was awesome.
Yeah. Those are the types of professors that should be in the schools. They should make a huge impact and really inspire and motivate their students and not be so like tough. Sometimes when I get tough professors, I get really like scared and then I get even more stressed. But yeah, it's always like those types of professors that really help you get through your university degree.
Yeah, I think that, and it also really goes to show that having that really awesome professor can make a really big difference in the outcome of that, not only just that class and your grade, but just your university experience as a whole.
Yeah, and also even for your career, because you still take what he says with you and you're going to use that in your future. So it's, yeah.
Totally. I know we kind of talked about a little bit about kind of when you were dealing with stress and balancing all of these different projects and working part-time and stuff you had going on. But what kind of, are there any other like struggles or challenges that you faced as a student that you had to overcome?
I think my only struggle really in university was just studying so much. I think that was the challenge, and also getting rid of the anxiety like in test taking. So in the first year, I was horrible. I was so horrible at test taking. I was so scared. Before the test before I was even in the class, my heart was racing and pumping. I felt like it was gonna come out of my chest. And I think that was one of the things I really had to overcome, was my fear of test taking and just anxiety in general. I did have a lot of that in first year. But I think it's over time, I did get used to it. And what really helped me was like support from family and just like talking it out and sharing like how you feel with your friends. And then you realize like, oh, like other people are going through the exact same thing as me. So it's okay. And if I do bad, like it's not the end of the world. You know, you still have another chance. There's always another chance, right? When it comes to your education, there's always another chance. That's what I believe. So yeah, I think that's what really helps me to get over that. And you just get used to it over time. You stop caring so much and just end up doing it.
Yeah, test anxiety is actually a very common thing that a lot of students suffer through, and it can really cripple you if you don't have like if you don't learn to adapt, and like how you learn to change your outlook and to kind of adapt to it. It can really be damaging if you don't learn those coping strategies or can't really handle that pressure.
Yeah, so like in my last year, I remember going into my test like, oh, it's okay. Like, I mean, I know I studied, so nothing bad's gonna happen. You know, you did your best already. So, but then in first year, like even though I would study, I'd be like, oh my God, like I have to get everything right. Like, oh my God, but then what if I don't know this? Or, oh, what if I didn't study this properly? Like all of those things in your mind, but then you just gotta learn how to relax and realize that you've done your part and you've done your best, and that's all that matters. So yeah.
And then that feeling when you walk away from that test and it's all done and over with is
yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, that feeling, that just like release of relief.
Yeah, the best.
If you could kind of like pinpoint something that was kind of the key to your success in university, what would that be? If you could kind of look back and kind of think of what really helped you succeed.
What really helped me succeed, on top of just studying, obviously, to help you get the grades, I think it's the support.
Yeah.
You need support. People don't do things alone. Humans are very social animals. They need a place to feel like they belong. So find your support group. find people who will uplift you and encourage you and motivate you and push you when you don't want to do it. You like, these are the people that are going to tell you to do it, you know. And yeah, it's so important to have a support group. And for me, it was my family and like my closest friend and my boyfriend. So they would be like, yo, like, you gotta keep on doing it. Like, don't quit. Like, you've gone so far. Like, every time, every year, they're like, you finished 1 year, you finished 2 years, you're almost done, you're literally about to graduate, don't give up. And I would be there, I'd be crying, I'd be like, I can't do it, like, this is too much, like I just want to quit. And they're like, no, like, just don't, you got to keep going. So definitely a support group is, I think, what really helps people to succeed in university.
Yeah, I think that's completely true because there's so many people who kind of just think that they can take on everything and kind of do everything all at once. And some people maybe um, they either think of they look at asking for help or support as kind of a weakness, and that's not really the right way to look at it because everyone needs help every once in a while, and some people are just afraid to ask for it.
Yeah, like, I mean, you even look at like successful people, like when I watch people like win an Oscar, the first thing that they say is, I want to thank my mom and my dad. I want to thank my friends and family who were there for me. Like, they were never alone doing it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. What life skills would you say that you gained from going to university?
I think one of the biggest life skills is learning how to talk to people. I think, okay, in first and second year, I was just so drowned in my studies that I actually lost a lot of my social skills. I realized, I was like, oh, like, I get like really anxious when I talk to people, and I don't think that's really good. So I need to learn how to do that. So then I just started to talk to random people in my class or be like, hey, like, how's it going? And then over time, I got more used to it. And that's how I was able to make really good friends and connections. So it's so important to learn and know how to talk to people. If you don't know how to connect with people, you won't really get anywhere, I feel.
Yeah. That's a good point because a lot of people, like, if you ask them, like, what life skills, if you ask some people that question, a lot of the most common answers are like, oh, I learned how to be an adult and do laundry and cook and whatever. But no one, and it's a lot of like those like physical, like practical things. But that's a really important point to bring up because it is entirely possible to be completely lost and absorbed in how much work you have to do and then just like forget to talk to people or just forget to keep up a social life, and then all of a sudden you just don't even know how to even approach anybody.
Yeah, it like that happened to me. And like because my dad was really good in sales. He did medical sales, and he always told me, he's like, Nathalee, the one and most important thing that you need to know to do in life to get through life is to talk to people. If you can't talk to people, you won't get anywhere. You won't make sales. If you don't know how to talk to people and you're doing business, you can't make any sales. If you don't know how to connect with people, you won't be able to market properly. You know, so it's so important to know how to talk to people and get connections. Yeah.
And that's important for everything because when you think about it, almost everything you do in life requires you to talk to people. Like, if you need to go to the bank, you have to go to the grocery store, you have to, anything you really need to do, you have to be able to actually communicate and talk to people and get your point across too. So, like, I mean, I think that's good advice for not even just students, but for every aspect of life.
Yes, exactly.
So definitely something to keep in mind. Another thing we always ask in our interviews is, if you could go back and talk to your 15-year-old self, what would you say? That's like grade 9 or 10 high school self.
Be yourself. I think in high school I was very insecure, and I didn't know how to be myself. I was afraid to be myself. So, like, I knew I loved, um, like, being creative in music. So, if I was, if I knew myself, I would have probably chosen a different, um, like, program in university. But like I told you before, I didn't really know. Like, I thought that money would be in science, so I just ended up doing science. But if I knew that I enjoyed being more creative, and yeah, if I knew that I was a very creative person and very had a lot of interests and talents, then I would have probably done a different major in university. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that well, that's the thing too, is that a lot of people don't sorry, sorry. A lot of people don't really know themselves that well in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get through university, you discover a lot more about yourself. And sometimes it's hard to make that kind of decision about what you want to do with your entire future when you're like 16, 17 years old in grade 12, trying to figure out what you want to go, what you want to take in university. And it's a big
Mm-hmm.
decision to be making when you're still discovering like who you are as a person.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't regret like not taking a different course. I don't regret taking biology because I found it so interesting and so cool and I learned so much. Um, but I probably would have maybe done a double major in like maybe music or something in marketing and bio instead of just
Yeah.
doing bio all the way. Um, but yeah, definitely is know who you are and stay true to yourself. And if people think wrong about you or think that you should be a certain way, like who cares? Like don't worry about that. Just be yourself, just do you, and you'll get far from just being authentic and yourself.
Yeah, completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone who is maybe starting university or college this year, or like just about to start university or college?
So definitely, um, like definitely pick a major that you truly enjoy. And if you don't, if you don't know, try to pick something that you think you might like, and then you might fall in love with it. Just like how like in bio, like I didn't know if like maybe I should take it, but I just did it, and then I did fall in love with it, despite it being so challenging. I genuinely did enjoy it, and the challenge that came with it. So yeah, do what you like and make a lot of friends. Turn around, talk to someone, make at least like 2 or 3 friends during your first day. It's okay. Yeah.
And yeah, and don't lose your social skills. Keep
Yeah, don't
talking to
lose
people.
it.
um, so another thing we always ask is if you have a favorite motivational quote that you would like to share.
The one that I always go by is "Just Do It," the one by Nike, because that it has two meanings. I feel maybe it has a lot of meanings, but the two things that really stand out to me when I see "Just Do It." So first is when you're tired and unmotivated and you don't want to do it, just do it. That's really that's the only thing. You're gonna have days where you don't want to do anything, but you just gotta you have to like you have no choice. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
do it, and then you'll get used to it, and you'll succeed from doing something than nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one is if you want to do something, but you think it's too risky, or maybe you're having doubts or like thinking that people might judge you for it, who cares? Just do it. Just do it because you want to try, right? So
Yeah,
might as well try and know than not know. So I think that's my favorite
definitely.
motivational quote.
Definitely something very relevant for anyone, no matter who you are. And it's something we hear all the time too, because it's like the Nike slogan. So it's
Yeah,
always that reminder there, like, just keep going.
yeah, exactly. Just keep swimming. Like, sorry.
Yep. So we always like to kind of end off the interview with a more kind of fun question. And this one's kind of interesting for you because you have such a big online presence kind of in a bunch of, like, you have your blog and your Instagram and YouTube as well, correct? So
and then I just started TikTok.
yeah. So what is your favorite social media platform and why?
My favorite is definitely 100% Instagram, because you can really engage and connect with people on Instagram. I feel like Instagram was made to really communicate and connect with people on a more personal level. Like on YouTube, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, you can like video and like take videos about your life, but a lot of it is mostly like tutorials and how-tos, or maybe like tips, styling tips. But I think what's awesome about Instagram is that you have stories where people can engage. So you can have like polls, and then people can like vote, and like if you ask a question, people can like answer it. I love that about Instagram. It's just communicating with people and connecting with people. That's what I love Instagram.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that Instagram has really done really well compared to a lot of the other, like YouTube and some of the other platforms, is that ability to directly you can like respond to a story and start a conversation like that in a very direct way, whereas in YouTube it's kind of, you really just have the comments and you can scroll through and reply to some comments, but it's not that personal connection that you really have on Instagram. So
exactly.
Yeah,
and Facebook is also very similar, where Facebook is very personal. Like if you take a picture and like your family, you know, it's very personal, like social media platform. And I think that's the reason why they both like merged.
Yeah,
because they're two very, very personal platforms. So yeah, that's what Instagram's about.
They're all about that connection. So just before we wrap up, is there anything else, any final insights that you would like to share for our student audience?
So there are going to be times when you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give up. But don't ever give up. And if you do decide to quit school, and you have this idea of starting a business, you can do that, but you have to have a plan, because even just starting a business or like starting life already, you know, as an adult, it's going to be just as hard. Maybe if not, maybe it might be even harder. So never give up. Don't quit for the wrong reasons of, oh, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do this anymore because I just want to have fun, you know? But yeah, just never give up, and just keep going. Yeah.
Awesome.
Don't lose hope. Yeah.
Again, like Dory, just keep swimming.
Exactly.
That is a quote that works for everything.
For real, yeah, it does.
Definitely. Well, I think that's a really, really awesome message to leave our audience with. Although I mean, you've shared a lot of really, really positive, helpful insights today, so I'm sure that our audience is really, really going to benefit from that. Do you want to share your social media handle for our audience so they can follow you?
For sure.
I meant to ask you that earlier.
Yeah, no worries. So on Instagram, it's Nathalee Pauline. On YouTube, it's also Nathalee Pauline. On Twitter, so Twitter and TikTok, and yeah, it's all Nathalee Pauline. And for my blog, it's nathalee.co. So, and also one thing too, my name Nathalee is actually spelled differently. It's not your regular Nathalee. It's actually Nathalee. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
We'll write it in the description too, so people can click on it so that they remember.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you again. And yeah, we really appreciate it, and we'll keep in touch with you along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.